Now that your poles are adjusted to the proper length and you check to see that they're securely locked, I want to do a simple exercise, a little demonstration that will show you what exerstriding is really all about. So I want you to stand with your feet about shoulder width apart and your arms extended out straight from your shoulders, reaching out like you're reaching out for a handshake with both hands, slight bend in the elbow. And what I want you to do is just stand and don't lift the pole, but just push one pole into the ground, then the other. One pole into the ground, then the other. Left pole, right pole, left pole, right pole. Do this about 15 times, and as I'm talking and you're doing this, focus in on what's happening in your body. Feel the wave of contractions. You should feel an obvious wave of contractions going through your midsection, your core muscles. Core is where all of your strength emanates, and this is a great way to work the core. So to isolate some of the contractions that happen, put down one pole, and I want you to hold one pole out. And as you push down on that pole, I want you to feel your forearm flexors contract. Your tricep, the muscle on the back of your upper arm, contracts. You reach around here to the back muscle on the side. It's called the latissimus dorsi. You can feel when you push down on the poles, that muscle contracts. Go up here to the chest muscle. Push down on the poles, you'll feel that contracting. And then obviously the abdominals. Now when I first started walking with the poles, I didn't even notice the abdominal work because all abdominal and core contractions that happen when you walk are integrated into the movement. You don't really feel them, but you can feel that they're happening with each push of the pole. And you walk about 2,000 strides per mile, so these contractions occur about 2,000 times per mile. When you're doing ordinary fitness walking, you're only really seriously activating about 40% of the muscles in your body. When you start involving all these upper body and core and back muscles, you're activating about 90% of the muscles in your body. And you're doing that again with every stride. You're getting what I call synergistic resistance benefits. So let's say you make it a goal to walk 10,000 steps. If you're able to walk 10,000 steps, you're gonna do about 50,000 plus reps. And if you don't have time for 10,000 steps, my wife Wendy and I usually only walk about 45 minutes in the morning. We do about 5,000 steps, and we get 25,000 plus reps of all these muscles in the upper body. That's where your metabolic rate goes up, your caloric expenditure goes up, and your oxygen uptake increases as well. So without feeling like you're working any harder, you get a lot more benefit from the exercise because all your muscles are moving and contracting and being put to use to move your body forward. Even though you're doing all this additional work, it actually feels like you're working less. That's one of the great things about exerstriding. So that's why I say about the exercise, this exercise is different. People actually love it. You love the way it makes you feel. You love the results you get when you involve 90% of the muscle mass in your upper body. And it makes a workout more demanding in terms of physiology and oxygen consumption and calorie consumption, but it actually makes it feel easier than if you were walking without the poles. We're nearly ready to begin walking with the poles, learning how to walk with the poles, but before we do that, I want to talk about how you grip and maintain control of the poles. Remember that I said the grips are ergonomically designed, and that means they fit right into the closed hand and begin to feel like they're part of your body. All you have to do at all times to maintain control of the grip is just keep a little pressure between the thumb and the forefingers, and then close your hand around the grip. I like to tell people that you want to grip the ergonomic grip as though it was a small bird. Close the hand around it, keep it from flying away, but don't press so hard. You don't ever want to have a white knuckle grip on the pole. If you do that, you'd squeeze and break some of the bones in a small, fragile bird. So just a closed grip. So we're going to start out with the poles in our hands, and the hands hung loosely at our side. Just a little bit of pressure between the thumb and the forefingers. Remember that the ergonomic grip makes the pole feel like it's part of your body, so just close it around the grip and you're ready to go. Now in terms of how the arms move, there are really two essential points that you need to remember for good technique in exerstriding, and they're called the handshake and the pump handle. So to begin with, let's do a little drill where we go up into the handshake position. Now if I don't give people this instruction, what they're going to do is they're going to lift and plant the pole. All you have to do is keep a loose grip between your thumb and forefinger, and don't lift the pole, lift the arm up into the handshake position. Just lift the arm up into the handshake position. If you're doing this, that's not the correct way. Just lift the arm up. If you went to open a door, you just lift your arm up to open the door. So just a little pressure between the thumb and the forefinger and lift the arm up. Do the same thing with the other hand. And notice that the poles land with a slight angle to the back. That's the way it should be. Now, the reason I'm telling you this is you don't have to think about how to lift and plant the poles. All you have to do is lift the arm and the pole will come and plant where it should be at the angle it should be. And lift the arm, don't lift the pole. So do that 1 or 2 times up into the handshake position, and that's all there is to it. Again, just a little pressure between the thumb and the forefingers. This is called the transition technique because what we're going to do is we're going to make a simple transition between ordinary walking and exerstriding, and it'll be very easy. All we have to do is let our arms hang loosely from our shoulders and have a little pressure between our thumbs and forefingers and close the hand around the grip. Other than that, try to forget that the poles are even in your hand, and all I want you to do is begin walking and dragging the poles and try to forget that they're even in your hands. Just let your arms and legs swing naturally. When you're ready to make the transition, all we do is we begin the same way with our hands hanging loosely at our side, start walking and dragging the poles, then you'll gradually start lifting the arm out further with each stride until you get into that handshake position, and you'll feel the resistance of the pole against your push. So you have to just watch what I do and make the similar transition. Just walk normally, bring the poles out further with each stride, and that's how fast the transition occurs. It's that natural. Now, many of you may have successfully made the transition and really have learned most of what you need to do exerstriding. It's just that simple. But if you had problems after you got the poles reaching out in front of your body, your arms and legs started to feel like they weren't in coordination, I've got a second technique that we can use that helps bring the arms and legs in coordination. It's called the kickstart technique. Start with your arms hanging at your side, and then step out with one leg, doesn't matter which one, a natural stride length. Bring the opposite arm up into the handshake position. Leave the other arm hanging down and loosely at your side, and I call it the kickstart position or technique because you're going to lean back and give a little kickstart on your walking off that back leg. So just lean back and start walking. And the arms start out in a coordinated movement with the legs. Now, if you haven't gotten it from the transition technique and you haven't gotten it from the kickstart technique, there's one more technique that really helps most people finally get in the rhythm of it, and it's called, appropriately enough, the march technique. To begin the march technique, we're going to go in the same position as we do with the kickstart, with one leg forward, the opposite arm up, the one on the other side hanging loosely at your side. And when I kick off, I'm going to begin with a march rhythm so that as each pole and foot lands, it's on the beat. So it looks like this. Bum bum ba-dum bum 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 ba-da-dum ba-da-dum ba-dum bum 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 bum. Now some of you might not think I'm very musical by the music I just made, and some people aren't comfortable with music, so I've come up with another version of the march technique that I call the metronome technique. The tick-tock, tick-tock of the metronome. So instead of having to try to make music, which I do, you can just do it with the metronome. So get in the same start position, lean back, and start walking. Tick tock, tick tock, tick tock, tick tock, tick tock, tick tock. Remember that ordinary walking and exerstriding are really natural. The arms and legs are swinging in the same way they've been swinging since you started taking your first steps, your first baby steps. Now for those people who are still having problems with the techniques that we've already gone through, there is one last thing that has worked for virtually everyone, and it starts out with baby steps. So we go back to taking our baby steps, and we basically start out with very short steps, and we gradually lengthen them out. So start out with one arm extended out, one leg extended out, and just start taking baby steps and then lengthen the steps over time until you've made the transition. This is, I guess you could call this the baby steps transition. So it's baby steps, baby steps, baby steps, baby steps, baby steps, longer, 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 baby steps, longer, 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 reach out further.